broadcasting alive from the Green Room Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, celebrating 25 years of home and garden wisdom. Without further ado, your hosts, Josh Cary and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. It's Saturday morning. It means it's time for the At Home Show. Hi, I'm Josh Cary.
And gracious good morning to you. I am David Bates.
Hey, we're here for you like we are every Saturday, coming to you alive from the Green Room Studios here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful morning. The nursery is just a buzz already this morning.
We got a lot
There's a
going on.
truck out there beating on the gate to get in to bring you some stuff.
We got a lot going on, and that's par for the course around here. We don't do anything else other than.
Is that the live or the PGA course?
I'm not sure. Didn't they merge?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, moving right along.
It's golf. Who
Let's
cares?
go to the weather, and we've got a departure upcoming this week.
We do.
Today we're going to have more of the same, mostly sunny, high of 89 degrees, and maybe a slight chance of a late afternoon thunderstorms tomorrow. A decidedly greater chance. 81 for the high, 60 for the low. Could get 3/4, maybe 8/10 of an inch of rain tomorrow.
What time?
It looks to me like it's going to be. Let's look and see what the time stamp. It says like 3 p.m. is when it gets to 88% probability. So
right during prime air show hours. Okay.
So anyway. On Sunday, 81-60. Monday, morning clouds and sun in the afternoon, 77-55. How awesome. Have the temperatures been recently? We have this blocking omega effect going on in the weather.
Really?
And we also have this atmospheric disturbance by all of the smoke from the Canada forest fires. So the combined of those two things has really kept our temperatures very mild. So it might be pleasant for us, not so good for others. 82-62 on Tuesday. Wednesday, rain returns to the forecast. Scattered thunderstorms, maybe a third of an inch of rain or thereabouts. 81-63, 85-66, and a bit more rain Thursday, more still on Friday. 86-65, 84-63 Saturday. So as you see, there's a chance of rain each day from about Wednesday on, and also a very good chance on Sunday. We'll take a look at the radar here quickly, and you see all this blob out here.
Yeah.
This is what's moving to the east, and should arrive sometime tomorrow and give us a chance at that rain. So just be mindful of the blob to the west, and that will be.
Is that the omega blob or the alpha blob?
The omega blob. There's like a low pressure that's been over here. Then there's another one over here. Then there's a blocking ridge, and then the El Nino effect, and there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So we'll just see what happens.
Okay.
Regardless of that, we have we've had 24 inches of rain. For the year, 5,900s this week here at Bates Nursery, 7,200s for the month. So all looking good there. Currently 62 degrees here in the Music City.
Do you like my overalls, David?
Josh, I don't think probably the people on camera, did you want to stand up and model them for us?
Oh, could I?
Certainly.
It's okay with me. I mean, these are Josh's gardening now.
Oh, wow, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So there you go, Josh.
Thank you very much. Duluth Trading Company, by the way. They have a ladies version. I bought a set for my daughter. They're cute.
I'm sure they are, Josh.
Okay.
So
They're not as cute as mine.
You got to
but-
get some patches on there.
Oh, we could get some patches. By the way, they have knee pad spaces.
yeah.
That you can slide the knee pads right into the front.
Oh, that is
Yes.
fly.
It's a very handy person in the advanced years of our existence. Now, 25 years on, Josh, it's hard to believe that we were young when this program started back in the day. And we have survived our youth safely. But we do have youth in studio.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Who's that over there?
We've got Tyler Blankenship right there. He's capably
Young enough.
keeping us on the air and audible. And across the way here,
And visual.
Caroline Gant, Austin Lowen, welcome in,
Who's
guys.
that over there in the corner?
Hi.
Good morning.
Hey, sitting in for Adam Chapman, Austin Lowen.
I'm back.
All right, well, welcome
Thank you.
back. So, where did you go?
We went to the northeast kind of coast. We went up to Maryland, and then we went to Delaware on Rehoboth Beach.
Ooh.
It was great to get away for a week. It was hard work with 3 daughters and a 14-hour drive. It was supposed to be 12 hours, turned into 14 hours. But it was great. It was
Kids.
really nice. I got to see all the plants that are up in Delaware.
Diana's going to the farmer's market. I'm sorry. Can't help it.
I
It's
thought that
through.
was just sound effects because Austin's trip was so magical.
No.
It was magic.
Did you get some steamed crabs
Austin
while you
has
were up in
sparkle
Maryland?
pockets.
I did get crab. I got oysters. Got all sorts of great seafood. That's the best part of that trip. I got to look at all the plants that are up there, which are not much different than ours.
No, not
I'm
really.
gonna go ahead and say, like, they have the exact same plant material that we have.
And of course, they're in that whole area. You're talking about the coastal influence that the Atlantic Ocean. So it modifies the temperatures. It on in maybe like 30 miles. You have a whole belt of coastway there that even really up into New England. It's in New York City for sure. They're really almost the same temperature range as we are, because they don't get as cold in the winter due to the influence that the Atlantic has on modifying the temperatures. So
Absolutely.
consequently, they're a zone 7, pretty much just like we are.
They are, yeah. I was talking to the locals up there, and they're pretty much the exact same as us. And what's really annoying, actually, is that they got it a lot easier than we do. They don't have the weeds or the bugs that we do. My God. Their hydrangeas, y'all, were full show. Every single one of them full show. Like your Endless Summer collection, the blues and the pinks. Big, round, blooming hydrangeas, you know. Full show.
Well, they didn't go through that severe thing we did this winter.
No, they didn't get that, nor do they get late frost.
They
like
do
we
get
do.
it at times. We just didn't get it this year. So.
And they, it takes a while for it to warm up there, a little bit longer,
Right.
longer than ours. But whenever it does warm up, it kind of stays warm. It's like when it's spring. So they don't have those, hydrangeas that are leafing out, and then we get this stupid late frost that'll
Right.
whack them back for the season. So all of their hydrangeas are just full bloom. They're gorgeous. I took a picture. There was a woman that was gardening, and I kind of scared her. I walked up on her. I was like, I need a picture of your hydrangea. But it was just beautiful. It really, really cool climate. I will say, their deodar cedars are money up there. Money. They're
Well,
huge.
and that's a missing word that we've not really had in
Ain't
the,
heard it.
There's
in the
been no
first
money
person
here.
version of it.
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
Money.
They are. But yeah, it was a nice trip, and I'm glad to be back on the show, though.
Well, we're glad to have you back. I'm glad you and your family had an enjoyable time, and you got those family members married off.
Oh, yeah.
So good. It's always a good time to get out and travel, see
They
what's
do
going
know
on.
how to throw a wedding party up there.
We
Yeah.
Boy, do they throw a party.
we did it big. You should have seen my kids. They were dancing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
You wouldn't believe it. It was so cute.
Did you dance?
No.
Of
Negative.
course not. Negative.
Nope.
Yep.
My kids did all the dancing, and they did great.
Good job.
All right.
Good
Well,
job, tiny dancers.
we talk about landscaping and home improvement
Yes,
here
we do.
on the At Home Show. I was talking with Josh before the program
What's
that I had
that?
an experience with a product I had not used before, a Saccrete product.
Yes.
And this was called this is from their professional line. This is Concrete Repair. It's an expensive bagged product, 50-pound bag, $20.
Wow.
But if you're trying to patch a spot in quickly and where that it almost does not show, it does a great job. I had to break out a chunk of a poured slab where that my a piece of conduit that was supposed to be in one spot was not where it needed to be. So I had to cut out and
project
break it.
manager didn't display good instructions.
In the
right?
process
Okay.
of breaking this section out,
You broke
of course, they cracked to the corner. And so a
course.
big chunk. So I decided, you know what, I'm not going to re-pour the entire thing. I'm going to leave the corner intact. And I bought this product that I had not used before. It is, in a word, money.
Money.
It was really great to work with, and it did a wonderful job, and it sets very quickly.
So be ready to go.
Yeah, you better have everything ready to go. The one thing that's important if you're going to use that product is make sure your form has 0 leaks in it, because they will be revealed, as was mine. I overlooked one. When I poured it in there, it's a very liquid state at the outset. It quickly goes into a molasses and then to very stiff. But at first, it's going to pour right through any hole you've got. So I did waste a bit of it. I didn't intend to. It's a great product, though. So Concrete Repair by Sackcrete, $20 a bag. So you be ready to work when you use it. But I liked it.
You did?
Yep,
That's
I
good.
liked it a lot. So there's my little testimonial, unsolicited, on the benefit of Sackcrete.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. I don't want to do it all day, every day. I
No.
promise you that. But in a squeeze, there's this whole off-camera dialogue that's going on here. So let's get back to the questions. Tyler, I know we've got we had our first question that came in via my bride, Renee Bates, from another friend who's got boxwoods that are looking bad, and there are a great many around town that look just as these photographs.
Ooh.
That date is probably not coincidental, because in 1963 we had a really terrible freeze. That's actually when my dad started growing container plants. It was like a year and a half into it. Everything froze out because it went to like 20 below zero.
Wow.
Whoa.
So a lot of things got replanted at that time. You think this winter freeze was the first such event. Well, no, it happens every now and again, but fortunately, not frequently. Those boxwoods, however, are they're
The middle
not
portion
looking,
is,
they're not
yeah.
looking.
Look like that. Do you really want, you know?
Well, it's going to be at least a 3-year process for those to come back out in any form or fashion, and it won't match the others. So it's probably best to extract the dead ones and kind of come up with a plan as to how to modify that so that it is
Well,
somewhat.
to the right looks like it. And I wish we had the view from the backside as well, but I mean,
Those on the two on the right look okay.
Okay.
Yeah, those will be okay. The two on the left, no.
No.
They are not. They're not going to make it. So, or regrettably, those just need to come out. They're not going to ever fill out in satisfactory fashion. You could replant. I mean, those are probably like 6x6 boxwoods,
Golly
really expensive. And whatever you put in there is going to look wonderful. But it's going to be, they're going to be really uniform, likely, where the other ones are, have been naturalized. They've been allowed to just blend into the area. So that's a difficult situation to ever make right. If you want that whole area to match, you just have to take them all out.
Yeah.
And that's not probably the solution. It could be that you could transplant the one that's on the second from the right to the far left side and plant something else in between. That's a possibility.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I think just remove all of it and start with something new.
I think
Why not? They've lived a long life.
Yeah, you did get quite 60 years out of them.
Yeah.
That's not too bad of an investment.
It's pretty good.
Yep. So if everything in the landscape could all be guaranteed to last 60 years, we'd be really thrilled with it. But unfortunately, nature does what it does, and we just have to deal with it. So that's not a good thing, but we've seen a whole lot of it this spring.
Yes, we have. Austin's boxwoods. We have missed talking about those.
So just give us a quick update. I guess this is a post-mortem report.
a eulogy, as it were.
Yeah, they still look dead.
Yeah.
100% still look dead. I'm leaving them, though. I'm leaving them. I'm in this for the long haul.
You've got a plan, don't you?
I've got a plan. I'm literally leaving them till next spring if they don't leave. I'm doing it. You know what? I planted petunias around them. The petunias are starting to creep up the dead-looking boxwoods, and they're going to cover them up.
You have a little petunia hedge growing on this lattice work of boxwood.
Dead boxwood, yeah.
That won't be bad.
It's so
definition
my
of
bed
making
was
it work.
so nice with these little dwarf boxwoods in it. They were like a huge part of the bed, and they're not there anymore. And it just the bed is not. It's not the same.
Austin's
it's not the same.
busted Justin. So.
I like
Thanks,
the
Tyler.
title.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, you know what? If y'all have suggestions, okay, I'm willing to take some. I've been thinking. My brain's been going about what I should replace these guys with if I'm going to replace. And I've got 14 in a straight line. So if y'all can think of something that stays tight, small, round, and perfect, like the Justin Browers used to be, then send it over to me. I need to find.
You
something.
know what? And the phenomenon you're talking about is a real one. It's that we don't have trouble helping someone else figure out what to do at their house, but at our own houses, it's a different deal. It's like I just don't know what to do. You know? It's a very strange how that when you personalize it, it's much more difficult to come up with something, and particularly when you thought you had what you wanted and Mother Nature had other plans.
Yes, I know. So yeah, y'all help me out because David's right. Well, whenever you come to work and you've got like 100,000 different options of plants, then you're like, well, which one do I go with? I think about it constantly in my bed. Like, what can I fill this hole with or whatever? So
Sam on YouTube has suggested sedge.
Sedge. Sam.
Well,
Hey, Sam. No, I
I don't
love
know
Sam.
if Austin liked that.
Sam's my dude. He knows it. Love him. He's got a cool dog. He's got a really cool Japanese maple collection. He's a very nice guy.
I think he's been talking to Bridget. 'Cause
Maybe.
Bridget is our resident grass expert and
is.
advocate, and she really knows her stuff.
And
do
Here, Bridget, we only have like 60 varieties. I mean, she really it's not like we have a lot of different types.
No, just 60.
Only 60.
and I like the sedge idea, except for it gets blasted with sun. I mean,
He said,
blasted.
"Come on, Austin."
It gets blasted with sun, Sam. Blasted. I mean, and it's on hot gravel. I just have a bad feeling that sedge would torch a little bit.
What
if I
about
put it
Blue
up there.
Star Juniper?
I know that's a thought. I've thought I can get a little 1 gallon. They're cute. They've got a blue hue. They're nice. You know what else I thought
Little
about
blue
was
stem.
sedum. Well, the problem with the grasses is I've got grasses already in the bed, and then out in the very front of the bed
Yeah, but you don't
is
have
alliums.
bluegrass. Oh, that's true.
I've got
Okay.
alliums that are all lined up along the whole front border, and there's probably 16 of those in the very front border. They're blooming purple right now, and they've got that kind of grass look to them a little bit. They look like onions, but they're kind of grassy, so I kind of want to avoid.
They
the
are a
grassy-
garlic, aren't they?
Yeah, technically, yeah. But
So
yeah.
what were you thinking?
So I don't know. What I thought originally was the boxwood, and it was perfect. So if we can get back to that, I mean, I was thinking Autumn Joy Sedum. What do y'all think about?
You know what?
I love
Yes.
that.
The great
Yes.
thing about
Yes.
Autumn Joy Sedum, it is the most 100% bulletproof plant.
It is.
You can plant them and never do anything to them. You can forget to water.
Really?
Oh yeah. Well, I
They,
don't water anyway.
they just, I mean,
I don't do anything to him, Josh. To mine.
I've got a container that has fallen all to pieces sitting on a area behind the garden center that's been there for years. The pot has completely decomposed over the years, and they never get watered. Never. They get whatever rain they get, and that's it.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, back here behind the dirt. Yeah, I've seen that one.
And it just grows, and it's really nice looking. If we did anything to it at all, it would be gorgeous. But so anyway, so there's that.
All right. All right,
So
let's
y'all
get to
send
y'all's
us
issues.
suggestions for Austin's bed.
Yes, thank
We'll
you.
make it work. It'll look great for Halloween. Planted elderberry last fall. One is great. The other is barely growing, and tops of the leaves are pale. What could cause this?
Well, that's interesting because elderberry is a growing machine.
Yes, it
for
is.
the most part. It's massive. Something's going on. Something's going on down below, probably. Up top is showing you the signs of what's happening down below. So, it might need to fertilize, or it might be staying wet. You wouldn't think. I mean, elderberry's okay with being wet and maybe dry. Pale leaves typically mean dry, but that's pretty weird because it's such a vigorous plant. I don't know. I hate to say that, but I don't know. I
Austin's
need more.
stumped.
Well, I need more info.
You need a
Well,
finger test and find
Finger
out.
Need
test.
something.
Or we could see a photo. So if you wanted to email us a photo or send it through Instagram, we can take a look at it and better answer your question.
On that same kind of
About that
vein,
elderberry.
Cheryl is asking actually, she commented on last week's show this morning, but our variegated English holly has leaves that turn yellow, then fall off. It is thinned considerably. The other one is great. It was planted in late April, and the healthy one was planted in March, watering every other day.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, watering every other day that's a concern because it could be one of two things. It could be not getting enough water. It could be getting too much. And, anything that you're going to plant in the ground, it cannot possibly need watering every other day.
Yeah.
It cannot possibly need it. I mean,
Especially a holly.
if you water it thoroughly, particularly if you plant it in March, once a week, even in the driest conditions, is plenty enough.
Yeah.
Roots grow in search of moisture. So if you keep them constantly wet, they're not really growing. They're just, matter of fact, bad things can happen to things that are not really high water loving plants. They can start to set up a rot, and the roots can actually start to die back. So if you have kept them too wet, they're not really able to uptake nutrition like they'd like to, and there's nothing to incentivize the roots to reach out looking for water, and thereby becoming established into the soil that surrounds them.
So even if it's every other day, if she's teasing them with water every other day,
she could be keeping them too dry because it's just the top surface of the ground, and not everyone perceives watering the same way. This whole concept of having a green thumb is largely about the perception of how much water a plant needs and when it needs it. That's the biggest thing.
Really?
And if you can soak a plant thoroughly, it will go normally several days in the ground even in very warm, dry conditions. Even if it's extremely hot, certainly not more than twice a week. But that means you got to soak it thoroughly. You can't, people think, well, yeah, I put the hose on it. Yeah, I watered that one. Now I watered that one. You can't water something deeply in a few seconds. It takes, watering is a kind of a meditative process in my book, Josh.
It is.
And it's where you need to be able to.
I subscribe to that too.
Yeah, well, it is a good exercise to be able to, take your time and allow it to soak in. So, hey, there's something else that's a beneficial part of growing your plants is the right soil and the right things to put in your soil, and that's Earth Mix Garden products. And no matter what kind of Earth Mix product you're talking about, they're all 100% organic. They're blended right here in Nashville, Tennessee, and they are done with the approach of being the most highly productive products you can use. If you're using Proganics O in an outdoor container, it's a great product for that. Caroline is a huge fan of Proganics I, which is the indoor mix. And the great thing about one of the another great things about Earth Mix products is that they contain no peat, and you might wonder, well, what's the big deal about that? Peat does a couple of things. Number one, it really is bad to attract these fungus gnats. Have you ever seen these little gnats?
Good gnats
Around your house plants? It's because there's peat in that soil. Coconut coir is used in Earth Mix products, so you don't have any of that. You get no fungus gnats at all. Sustain is, in fact, pure coconut coir. So if you want just to buy that product, that's available in Sustain. If you're using other things for planting, be it Earth Mix Garden, which obviously is for garden plants, Earth Mix Landscape for your landscape, all the products will give you an incredible ability to grow your plants, including the compost such as Relief, Magic, Supernatural are all wonderful products. And if you've got problem with voles, and we're hearing some people talk about that,
don't scratch them.
The product,
it's moles. No, it's moles. Okay.
Enlighten can be used as a top dress mulch, and because it has little sharp edges, the voles won't dig in it because it cuts their paws. So it makes them go somewhere else. So anyway, if you're interested about where to get an Earth Mix, go to earthmix.net, click on the Find Earth Mix tab, and once you get to that tab there, the pins will magically appear, and you'll see all over on this map all over Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, even into northern Alabama, southern Indiana, and Ohio. So either put your address in for turn-by-turn directions or simply zoom in for a location nearest you. And remember, this success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix garden products, only available at the finest home stores and garden centers. You won't find it at box stores.
Nope.
So there you go.
Absolutely.
So thank you for giving us a moment
good
to
stuff, folks.
discuss
I'm
that.
telling you, I use it.
We think it's the best. And,
Yes.
I've neglected, Tyler, to give you some photographs. We'll get them on next week. Good friend Malcolm Mims, who is now a retired Music Row lawyer.
Any relation to Miriam Mims?
It's her ex-husband.
Okay, there it is.
And but they're the good thing about them, they're still really good friends. They have children together.
That's a good thing.
I
And
think she referred to him as her husband.
husband, yes.
So-
And anyway, Malcolm is a great guy and a wonderful gardener. He only uses Earth Mix garden products, and he shared with me some outstanding photographs.
Oh, cool.
So of some planters he's done, really amazing. So a shout out to Malcolm. You're probably not listening, but anyway, but
Miriam is.
But
Hey,
Miriam is.
Miriam.
Hey, Miriam.
And
Good morning,
Miriam
Miriam.
actually sent a question over messages yesterday.
Okay.
What is the correct thing to do with daffodil foliage this time of year?
Good question.
Great question, Miriam.
Mine is still up.
And they're going to stay up, and you need to leave them up. They don't look great now.
No.
They get a little yellow. They get a little floppy. That's what they do. But we need to leave them up as long as we can. The green foliage is still photosynthesizing, still giving energy down to those bulbs that are going to give us nice blooms next year. So, yes, they're hard to look at, Miriam, but try to leave them as long as you can. Once they turn truly just yellow and they're laying completely down on the ground, then photosynthesis typically slows or even stops. At that point, you can cut them down. But at this point, leave them up.
Know what I'm doing
Leave
in the
them on
morning?
up. What are you doing in the morning?
I'm going to cut those prostate daffodil leaves down finally.
Oh, is it time?
I think it's time.
I just plant rudbeckia all around mine, so it kind of covers
cool.
it up. I know Austin loves that plant. I might be the only one in this room that likes that plant. So,
What, Rudbeckia?
yeah.
Oh, I'm all about it.
Thanks, Tyler.
If
Yeah.
you're all about work.
It
No.
takes no work at all. I don't know what you're talking about. You must have never grown it before. You must not be talking from experience.
Oh, that's hilarious. Because as a child,
Shots fired.
I pulled it out for my mother every year because it took over her bed. She planted this whole perennial bed, and what took over everything? Rudbeckia.
Rudbeckia.
And I had to pull it out.
But I
they
let
say
mine take over.
So
A weed
lot
is
of
a plant out
experience.
of place.
Oh, and
Right.
it certainly
weed.
was.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Got to know the place you want to put it.
Yuck.
I've got a raised bed. Actually, my raspberry is now fighting with my Rudbeckia.
Oh, good. And they're going to
which
keep
is
fighting.
which is amazing. And right now they're starting to come up from the huge canopy bush of raspberry that doubled in size from last year. But
Oh,
they're
yeah.
probably
Gosh.
gonna get in on the sides and it's gonna
Berry
make
plants are growing machines.
They are.
This just in, actually,
it look. And
they're
they're all in one little raised bed together.
Yep.
And if you should check out Rudbeckia maxima. Sorry, I'm on this
Oh, I
tear
just
now.
planted that this year.
Whew.
Yep, I'm excited.
The stems are up 6 feet tall, and they're about to bloom. They are just.
Do you have some?
I do. It's growing in my front yard.
You need to take a photo so we
I
can
will.
see it next week.
Speaking of photos, I did send you some, Tyler. I don't know if you can look at those or not. If you have
yes,
time
I
to.
can.
Well, the viewers missed Austin. Colin said, hi, Austin. And then since Austin is here, what plants would work well? Where would you recommend in Tennessee to achieve the cottage garden style on a slope? Full sun from noon onward. And
Well,
yes.
There's some options.
there's certainly some options. I mean, on a hillside, I think cottagey, you have to throw lavender in the mix.
gotta have
I mean, you got to have lavender in the mix. Juniper actually works pretty well. The juniper has some bluish hues to it, which I don't know. Blue in a cottage scene is kind of nice, and a hillside lends itself to a juniper because they can take it really dry if they need to. So that can be kind of your space filler plant. It's kind of more Tuscany, I guess, but it kind of works for cottagey. I mean,
It's French cottage.
Yeah.
Yeah, French
why
cottage.
not? You got to throw
Spanish
white in the mix. You got to have some
Italian
white.
cottage.
Some sort of white flowers have to be in the
Yes,
mix with
that's
the
true.
cottage. Annabelle hydrangeas, which y'all have behind you over there
Yep.
next to the screen, certainly works for that cottage scene. I love clematis. I really love clematis. If you can pop a trellis in somewhere, that just really adds to a landscape. Anytime you can get some vertical height going with a cool trellis, you can find, maybe something kind of old school, got some bronzy look to it, and then growing a clematis up it, just kind of randomly in the mix, I think is really nice. Mm-hmm. So there's certainly options, and thanks for asking. I'm kind of working on a cottagey theme right now. I went cheap, and I went with some cheap perennials, which you can still buy, and which is a great way to do it. We sell them in these little 4P pots. They'll cost you $3.30 a piece for a perennial though, and they grow and they do well. And I did a lot of my landscaping this year, and I'm just kind of waiting for them to fill.
The illustration you were making there was the pot size, not the fact that those sun patients or New Guineas.
These are annuals.
Those are annuals there. So,
Most of them come as annuals. Yeah, I mean 90% of them do. But then we get this whole collection and this size pot of perennials.
Right.
Yes.
So I mean, bang for your buck. I'm telling y'all, great space fillers. You got holes in the garden you want to fill in with perennials. Buy these little guys. They're $3.50 a piece, and they
I've
grow.
probably bought 3 trays of those this year.
I mean, that's the way to do it.
So from what I hear, one of those little dudes will get like 24 to 30 inches tall and wide. Am I right?
So
Yeah,
I
that-
did
It gets
echinacea
big.
this size.
Now, those
and
might
this
be
year it's
dudettes.
this
I'm not
size.
sure. I'm not.
Definitely dudettes. Yep.
Okay. Those. How big do those dudettes get?
So I
That's a
did an
personal
echinacea
question.
like this in the fall, and now my echinacea is bigger than this this spring. So there's you a comparison, and this is going to cost you about $30, while this cost you approximately $3.
So you're really, it's a good value, a good investment of time. You really make up a lot of growth in a comparatively short period of time. There's always a coefficient between how long it takes to grow something and how much it costs. So that's a really great example of where you can, if you plant it at the right time.
Yep.
Planting perennials in the fall is a wonderful time to do that because they do get wonderfully established throughout the winter, and when they start drawing on that energy in the springtime, they can explode.
I was kind of shocked how big some of mine got.
It's the way to do it.
Hey, we're going to be able to show
Pleasantly
Malcolm's
surprised.
pictures here? Or
Speaking of wonderfully established, here we go.
Yep. Here's a little pedestal planted in
Whoa.
that beautiful, right on the banks of the Cumberland River. Beautiful setting, a pedestal.
Is that a sago palm in the
It
middle?
looks like a sago.
sure does.
Yeah.
Creeping Jenny around it.
What a great combination of
asparagus
textures.
ferns.
That is excellent because obviously
The sago's not hardy here, though, is
they're
it?
not.
No.
But I
No.
mean, he can.
But you can overwinter them.
He can dig it out.
Or it could be
They
annual.
are a tough palm, but not tough enough to last out over the winter. So with a small amount of digging it up and bringing it in, it could be. I think that's the same one from a different view,
It's beautiful.
but it's really nice. And now look at this!
Wow.
Isn't that spectacular? And
Canna up top.
the cannas are really making it rock, and it's what a great background setting for all the other lovely arrangement of both colors of foliage, flowers, and texture. So
Yeah, look at the stacked stone behind his purple.
The key.
Look at that.
Fill it up. That's the key.
Uh-huh.
Put these things tight, y'all.
Diana's back from the farmer's
Awesome
market.
sparkle pockets.
Yeah.
What?
Sparkle.
Anyway,
Isn't that your
there's a
phone? Oh, yeah.
baby.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
There's my daughter. Hey, Penny.
What's next to her, Austin?
Hydrangea.
Y'all know. Incredible hydrangea. My favorite. Best one on the market.
Twice as big as her head.
Yes.
That is huge.
Look at that. My oldest daughter decided to pick the biggest one, of course, and brought it in the house. So I was like, well, may as well get a pick. And that's baby Penny, my little 2.5-year-old, just happy to be next to it. So shout out
Adorable.
Penny.
Lots of show and tell today.
All right.
Let's show and tell our knowledge with these questions.
All
right.
Shall we? Tips on getting cantaloupe vines to grow on a trellis. I've
All
never
right.
trellised mine before. I always leave them on the ground.
I know, and there's a reason for that. And
They're heavy.
They are heavy, and that's the whole point. They will certainly grow on a trellis. You got to kind of get them started, and let them have something to grow on, and they certainly will. The vines most definitely will grow up that, but whenever they start to flower and they start to fruit, those fruit gets heavy, y'all. Like you're gonna have to be able to hold that fruit up a little bit, because if you don't, it's going to weigh that vine back down and just drop back down to the ground.
And I had an uncle of mine, my Uncle Joe, who was a organic raised bed gardener back in the day. I mean,
Before it was cool.
50 years ago, he was doing it. And two of the things you got to do to be able to do that successfully is you got to have a very substantial trellis, because when that fruit starts forming, it is, as Austin said, it's very heavy.
Really?
He would use women's hosiery.
Yes.
I've
was
seen
just
that done
thinking
as
about
well.
that.
To tie them in there, and they will expand while the fruit's growing. It really does a beautiful job. And because they're suspended, you can turn them and have them nice. There's no white spots on it where they get shaded.
Does it matter what kind of hosiery you use?
I think you want them to be pretty sheer.
The net?
Yeah,
net, the net kind?
fish. If you're looking for a more sexy
The line that
cantaloupe,
goes right up the back
you
of
could
the
you
stalk?
could do that. Yeah, do
Ooh.
some fishnet. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, fishnets are pretty strong. You could definitely
Yes.
do those. And they come in lots of different colors, sparkles, all of the cool things. So you could get rhinestoney with
Oh,
those
there you
cantaloupes.
go.
Yes, you can.
All right.
All right, let's talk about mushrooms. Mushrooms
Okay.
in my raised planter beds, good or bad? What does this mean?
Sounds like healthy soil to me.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, it's an active soil, which is nice. Now, the whole fungi world is a whole different world than plants, okay? Like, way different. We don't even study that because it's a whole nother realm. But if you have mushrooms, that means that those spores have started to form and they're going to that reproductive stage. The mushroom that's actually up underneath that cap right there is like millions upon millions of spores that is ready to be released. So that's what they are doing. So if you do have mushrooms, then that means they're ready to reproduce and make a whole new batch of mushrooms if you're not careful. So mushrooms in a garden don't hurt anything. It's not going to hurt your plants or anything, but it can be aesthetically unpleasing, I guess. So if you wanted to remove them, just straight up remove them. But you will probably see more because that's what they're doing. They're releasing their spores. So.
And one of the things we've had conditions very conducive to growing. We've had cooler, we've had somewhat moist conditions. If this is a mulched area that you're irrigating, for instance, it's very conducive to growing them. One little bit of information: we could not exist as human beings, or if we didn't have all that fungi. So it's critically important, although specifically those might not be in the application that you wanted, but it is a sign of healthy conditions.
They said you were a fungi back in the 70s.
Yeah, well, best I remember.
Yeah, that's what they told him.
Yeah.
As long as conditions are right. All right.
Yeah.
Wayne is asking a question on the Facebook page for Bates. What is the best treatment for powdery mildew? We have it on our saucer magnolia.
Ooh.
That's a tough one. So, you can spray obviously like a copper-based fungicide that we sell here if you want to, and that's going to protect the new growth, which I do recommend doing. That'll stop the spread from getting on all that new stuff, but the old stuff that has the powdery mildew on it and the white is not going to get rid of it by doing that. So, if you want to keep the leaves, you have to work for it. Go out and actually clean those leaves. But if the plant's big enough that can handle some pruning, take off those individual leaves. Anytime you can get rid of leaves that have the powdery mildew on it, you're going to help yourself greatly by the spread of it. So, like I said, pruning techniques are certainly the way to go with that if you can do it.
And additionally, the same conditions that we've had that have been conducive to the mushrooms growing have also been conducive to other fungal
Fungus
type things. So powdery mildew really has really is able to get a toehold during cool, more moist conditions, and they may only be moist because you're irrigating, but the fungi cannot tell the difference. And somehow I feel like my sound just went away.
You're a fun guy.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I don't know if
Did
that
you
was
mute
just
him?
the
It was the
headphones.
headphones.
Okay,
No worries.
so that will take care of that if the conditions warm up and get a little more dry. But sometimes fungicides need to be used. It just is. It's one of those things. If like you're alluding to, Austin, oftentimes you can simply deal with it by taking some actions, removing some of the leaves that are the worst infected. It may not actually be
Don't
adding.
throw them on the
anything to it.
ground
Oh.
either.
Yeah, be
That
clean
fairy
about
is
it.
back.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Okay. Hey, well, while we've got a break here in the action for just a moment, let's talk about where we are, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and where that you can search our website 24/7, 365. On weekends, if you're placing an order, just be mindful. We don't pull those until Monday or begin pulling them. So, that actually, there's always a 48 to 72 hour lag time. There's a lot going on here, and it takes us a bit to get to everything, but we try to handle every order expeditiously. We're doing things all the time to further secure our orders that have been placed. We're actually fencing off our sold order area because
people want to get that stuff.
Sometimes people ignore and tear off sold tags.
No.
Yes, they do. They're not stealing them, but they're taking somebody else's plant they've already paid for. So anyway, we're taking some measures to make sure that is not convenient to them. On the other hand, what we do have here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center is an extensive selection of everything you could be looking for. By the way, if you're a Bates Rewards member,
I am.
Get your free flat vegetable plants.
Oh, do we have some left?
Yes, we still have
goodness.
to.
Yeah.
Get your free flat. Actually, we made it a minimum. A one per customer because we wanted as many people as possible to get to have an
whole
opportunity. Whole flat. There's still more than 100 flats down there, so there'll be good opportunities, I believe, throughout the day. So you come on out and get your free flat. You can mix them up any way you like. It doesn't matter. So come get those out. There's a lot of people, and we talked earlier in the show about the loss to the boxwoods. The thing that was probably the most prevalent as far as damaged over the winter was skip laurels, and we really encourage people to wait. That we felt like they would come out, and fortunately, a lot of them did, but unfortunately, not all of them. So there are folks who have skip laurels who just have not come back satisfactorily. What we have done, we brought in a huge shipment of various sizes of 5, 7, and 10 gallon sized skip laurels. Those are all 30% off for Bates Rewards members. And to make sure you get your best growth out of them, we are also discounting bagged earth mix landscape to be able to plant those with. So at 30% off. So no matter whether you're planting the skip laurels or not, the earth mix is still the earth mix landscape in bags is at 30% off as well. So come on out and see us. We're open from 9 this morning until 4 this afternoon, noon to 4 tomorrow. We're down to our next to the last Sunday. Father's Day is our final Sunday for the summer season because spring's over at that point. We're not open during the summer on Sunday. So come on out and see us today. Take photographs of your area that you're working on. Help Austin figure out what he needs to use in his to replace his boxwoods
Fig
with.
trees? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Figs.
So
trees.
A lot.
and bring those out, and we'll actually help you figure out what plant to use. Help you to get the right plant in the right place the first time. That's the way we do it at Bates Nursery and Garden
Don't listen
Center.
to me because I'd put figs where his box was.
You highly offended Austin.
Where
Fig trees.
where we have been beautifying Nashville since 1932, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, and that spot deteriorated badly towards the end.
Thank
It
you,
was
Josh.
You
lively.
have to ask. You don't ask the neighbor. Don't ask the crazy guy from Smyrna. Ask somebody at the nursery what it is that you want to do, and show them a picture.
I'm going
See? Okay.
I'm gonna show every
Line
customer
of
pictures
fig
today.
trees.
I have to pay.
Line of fig
I do
trees.
have to replace the fig tree. So,
Well,
and
we
by
can
the-
get you one.
I need to report a crime too. There was unpremeditated landscapicide committed at the proving grounds this week by the lawn guy.
The what
I have-
now? The who?
Yeah, the lawn guy, not the lawn boy.
Oh, the lawn guy.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Long Island.
No, Long Island. Long
Oh,
Island.
man.
Long Island. It's
guys.
smoky up there now. But it seems that he might have had a string trimmer accident near one of my Chicago fir, my figs. It had come up from the ground. They were about 6 inches
Well,
long.
it'll still come back up again. It's the good news. Just tell him to stop it.
So I don't have to shoot him.
No, it's
but
coming back.
You need to be putting something around it to say, don't do this. My King Arthur fig is coming up voraciously, multiple places
It was
up
going
out of
gray?
the ground. So I actually have got to do some side pruning on it to kind of rein it back in just a bit. But that's the one benefit in my case of my boxwoods dying, and now there's plenty of room for the fig
King
to grow
Arthur.
in the middle. So
Nice.
there's that.
Good work. I feel like it's time for something.
There's some more
Hey.
questions.
No.
I'm thinking
What's in bloom?
with Austin.
What's blooming? Things are blooming. All right, let's go with trees first. Catalpa's just finishing up. Okay, those big white blooming trees are fantastic. Big old leaves, still going. Just about to finish though. Magnolias, y'all, still going. My God, it's been a month.
What are they?
Cool.
Money.
Money. Come on, man.
Oh my God.
I missed the cue.
You
Missed it.
give him a couple of
What
weeks
are
off,
they?
and he loses his own catchphrase.
Yeah, they are money. Been a month. They're still blooming, and they smell fantastic. You got to smell them.
Yes.
One of the ones you probably don't even know about is called a Chinese chestnut. Those are in bloom right now. We've got one right next door to us here at a house just up the street, and they kind of got like starfish-shaped blooms. So if you're seeing something that's got compound leaves and then blooming like a
Unlike
starfish,
the magnolia, which smells wonderful,
Yeah.
they do not.
they don't. But they are in full show right now, and that's a really pretty tree. I really, really like a Chinese chestnut. They're underused. As we get down to larger growing shrubs, let's go elderberry. Certainly in bloom right now. Yucca is in bloom. Those old pointy leaf yucca evergreens, they're
Having
nice.
a great spring this year.
They are. They
Yeah.
really are. And then we start getting into hydrangea world. Oak leaf's still going, and the Annabelles have showed up. So behind Tyler back there.
Yeah, and I want to make a comment about Annabelles. I've had them in my yard for years, and my lawn guy,
Long guy.
they cut them back this year, but not nearly hard enough. And so my point is being made this year as to why you would do that, because they're flopping badly.
Oh,
And if you
Nothing
don't
worse.
cut them short, I mean down to maybe 8 inches in height, they're blooming on too long of stems, and the plant simply can't support the weight. And
What are the two in the corners? Those are not Annabelles, are they?
those are arborescens type of hydrangeas. So that's
Yeah.
like
Wow.
our native hydrangeas. You know, you go
Smooth
right up the red,
hydrangea.
the smooth Annabelle types. Those are just kind of that lace cap style, not near as showy as your Annabelles, but still really cool. They're blooming right in Jolton right now. Go up to Bear Hollow Road, take you a little side jaunt, because that's a cool road, very tiny road. But if you go up there,
Yep.
up on the hillside in Jolton, they are all blooming right now in the woods in deep, heavy shade.
Yes.
So
And in there, it's interesting. The foliage is nearly identical. It's very hard to, but you can tell that the spacing of the is a little bit more rangy, and they of course have the more flat flower as opposed to the round ball. So.
yeah, but they native. I mean, they native. They live good here.
They native.
They native.
They native.
They are. All right, let's go to. Let's go
But
to
he was
some,
popular in Maryland when he was there.
yeah. Let's go to some perennials. So echinacea is blooming. Milkweed, them orange weeds in the woods you see, and all in the fields and along the interstates. They're all blooming.
Asclepias, and of course,
Asclepias.
the monarchs will be.
All about it.
They will be all about it. So, and the state of Tennessee is doing a really great job of introducing those into the interstate plantings all along the way. So, hopefully, we will contribute to the future production of that species.
Yep.
And if you ever get the chance, I'm just saying, you should go see where they nest, either in California or in Mexico in the wintertime. It's quite a spectacle to be able to see the.
Yeah, I've seen it on TV. Never seen it in real life.
It's hard to believe when you're there and there's a cloud of them. I mean everywhere, hundreds of thousands of them. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. And then also shade-loving hostas. We think about their leaves, but their blooms are up right now, so that's kind of cool to see them blooming. Coreopsis, those yellow or red flowers that are very weedy but good. It's a good little plant that just lives here. One you don't think of that's got a really cool blue to it is bachelor button. Okay, this is a little That's a kind of just a little weedy plant as well. But when
why
it
do
blooms,
they call
it's cool.
that bachelor button?
I don't know. The blue maybe, and it's a little
Still single?
button bloom.
single plant.
Maybe it's born on single stems. They kind of do that a little. I don't know. Anyway, Bachelor Button. Check those out. They're kind of cool. And then Caroline's favorite, the prickly pear. Caroline, go on and tell us about that prickly pear.
It's blooming, and it's gorgeous. It's
What
got
color is it?
A nice yellow bloom most of the time, but they can also bloom red and orange. But our native one here blooms yellow, and it's currently in bloom. And if it gets pollinated, it will fruit. So mine fruits every year, and I love it. It's the most easy, the easiest full sun. It can even take some shade thing to add to your landscape that's going to look the same in the winter as it does in the summer, and you never have to water it.
You think that's an actual honeybee that's doing the pollinating on it, or is it,
It looks
more
like-
likely a...
It looks like some kind of a native bee. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't look quite like the classic European honeybee, but
Yeah,
it
it's
is
a tiny
basically
little something.
those blooms are basically a swimming pool for those bees. They just dive in and get all dusted up. It's amazing to watch.
Yep, mine are in full show right now. So is that it for you, Austin?
That's it. That's what's in bloom.
Wow,
With
so
Austin.
many things with Austin.
We had a comment that Shasta daisies are going crazy.
Oh, yes, they are. Shastas are good. White. Make sure you deadhead them or they look real bad.
Okay.
Get out there and work with them.
Facebook's on fire this morning.
Oh, good.
Kimberly wants to know, speaking of watering, I guess we were speaking of watering earlier, which is better, drip irrigation or a soaker hose?
They both work almost exactly the same. I mean, it's the same function.
Yeah, now soaker hoses for many, you know, there's two different types. There's the leaky pipes type, which is my preferred one. Then there's the other type that just has little pinholes in it. Those should be installed with the holes pointing down.
Yes.
You don't want to spray, and the issue is that when you put all that, a lot of people erroneously believe that the foliage needs water. It does not.
Okay.
The soil needs water. The
roots.
roots will take the water up and bring it into the foliage. I mean, occasionally plants could be, during dry conditions, could be really dusty, and hosing them off is a good way to remove a lot of that. But other than that, the foliage does not require moisture directly on it. And if you do that with enough regularity, you create these fungal problems that we were talking about earlier in the program. So
They don't work very well with
The leaves are
sustainable
basically
hoses
solar
either.
panels.
That's right.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
need to get the sun.
You got to keep the panels clean.
And if you do, a lot of people think, well, you shouldn't water in the afternoons in the hot. Well, you don't want to water the foliage for sure. And if we water all day long here because we kind of got a bunch of plants, so we can't wait until it's just cool in the morning or cool. And we have to water when they need water, but we apply it to the soil. We don't apply it to the foliage. Now there are
Get the
things
wand.
we do have overhead irrigation system that's in the after hours that is done during the cool of the day, but. If we had the ability to water everything directly on the soil, such as our autoleucin laurels are, they're in a drip area, and that's because of this same thing we're talking about. They don't like the moisture on the foliage creates a pathogen problem, and it makes this what's called a shot hole fungus. It looks like bugs been chewing on it, but really it's a fungal type thing. So
Yeah.
getting your water at the right spot takes care of a lot of problems or prevents them before they become one.
Okay, Joy wants to know what's the best mulch for a raised vegetable garden? Tomatoes, green peppers, squash primarily. Also, what is the best trellis system for indeterminate tomatoes? Easy if possible, tired of fighting the cheap ones, they are too short.
Getting yourself, so the mulch idea, probably wheat straw is probably going to
Yeah.
be your best when it comes to veggies. That's what I typically use and what most people use. That's a really good mulch. And then when it comes to a trellis system, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But if you really want to go sturdy, you might think about like T-posts with like actual fencing from Tractor Supply.
The
What
cattle
about a Florida
panels.
weave?
Yes.
The cattle panels are the way to go on that, on like either a 4x4 installed or something where you can, because you don't have to go to the ground with the trellis. They can start up a couple of feet up higher. A 16-foot panel, which is the length they're sold, and that's the hard part about them, is actually hauling them. But you can set those up. They're very heavy, and that 6x6 openings in that
Perfect.
mesh is great. You don't block your fruit. You can pick it all the way through it. That is the way to go, and you cannot overload those if you have a good enough support system for that cattle panel.
And they last
easiest-
forever.
They do last forever.
Yep.
They're galvanized, and they're In a word, money.
But she said easy. So, I mean, she said easy. What about a Florida weave?
A Florida weave is fine, except it takes a lot of twine,
Okay.
and it's got to be strong twine. You can't get anything that's cheap; it'll just break on you. And it's a lot of cleanup at the end of the season, so it's a lot of leftover twine. You have to do that a number of times through the season. So if you can just start originally with that cattle panel up, you don't
Okay.
have to do anything else afterwards. Like you just have to kind of make sure the stems stay on it.
Yeah, you might push the vine through, and every week or so, just kind of make sure they're growing through it.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's nothing to do. It's really easy.
Yeah, Joy said she'd check out the cattle panels, and you said Tractor Supply. I think
Yep.
that's great. Co-op might have them.
Yeah, they sell them by like 4x8.
Yeah, and it
sheets.
might be that if those are too big for you, you could just get some like bolt cutters
Yep.
and you could cut them. They probably have them right there to let you cut it into smaller pieces.
Go to the left and then get,
Yeah, that way you can use individual ones for individual tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like if you got 8 foot, you can take
A
They have the
4x4.
T-post as well. So,
Yeah, that's the way to go for tomatoes.
I've also used not necessarily for tomatoes, but this might work. Just an 8-foot bamboo stake that I just tie the plant to as I go up. But with tomatoes, you probably have to be good about pruning the suckers so they don't lean and start pulling that bamboo stake because it will get heavy.
And that's
especially
where
with
those
fruit.
cattle panels are great. You don't even
Yeah.
have to worry about it. They
Yeah.
just it will not pull it down.
Cattle panels
you
and
can
T-posts.
you can also take the bottom rung off and use the stakes that stick down, and that'll give you a little bit more
Yeah.
support into it too.
That's right.
Kind of like a modified tomato cage.
Yeah.
So
Heavy, extra heavy duty.
money.
Money. All right, let's get a couple more questions
Okay.
in. I have a non-fruit bearing plum tree that started dropping leaves in late May, as well as several dead limbs. Been babying this tree the last few years, has purple leaves at the top, but overall the tree looks bad. Any suggestions?
Take it out.
Yeah, purple leaf plum. It
that's
comes with
sad.
its issues sometimes.
They don't live a long time.
They don't. But if it's new, I mean, it should. It should be fine when it's young like that. So, I want to see some pictures of it. That'd be kind of cool. Pruning techniques too. Typically we're going to prune this after it blooms, so you get a bloom next season. But sometimes we need to sacrifice those blooms and give it a nice cutback. So if you got, leaves at the very top most of the plant, but nothing down at the bottom part of the plant, over the wintertime this year, let's go in and take those stems nice back and tight, and let's see if we can get a uniform flush next spring, because it just sounds like it's not very uniform. Something's weak about it. But if you can bring me pictures, let me see it. That might be a little bit helpful. Fertilize this spring certainly wouldn't hurt.
But once they're 10 to 12 years old, and I don't know if they mentioned this or not, they
get
typically
kinda
go
skanky.
into decline. That
Yeah.
is just, they don't last forever. So
Yeah, it's a short-lived tree.
Big native trees that can handle being planted in an alley with poor conditions.
Huh. You know where I'm going on this?
Where are you going
What?
with this?
Locust. How about a locust tree?
How about it?
We've got one right now that's really pretty. I've got one in my yard that's a golden locust. It's like my favorite tree in the yard. They are fantastic, and they grow in really poor conditions. The reason I say this, I had a customer literally yesterday. He said he had a hillside that's super dry with like this hard panned rock up underneath where he's been planting. He said he tried an oak, he tried a maple, he tried something else, and nothing seems to work there. So I said, you know what? Let's try a locust. Why not? They got
Just-
compound leaves. They grow like a weed, and they'll live pretty much anywhere.
and don't walk barefooted around.
Yeah.
Do not.
that's
They've got
true.
thorns, but it's a beautiful tree. I really love a locust.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Be careful about planting stuff in an alley too, though, folks. I mean, if this
Well,
is
as an alley tree goes, I think a locust.
Locust is-
I mean,
yeah.
they can hold their own.
They can. That's where I'm going.
You're going there.
Love
All right.
locusts.
How about how well do poppies do in our soil? I have them growing everywhere, but I did amend my soil. So I start them from seed. I loosen up the soil because if I just planted it right on top of our very compact clay soil, they would wash away. But I've had really good luck with it, amending it with landscape and then scattering those poppy
That
seeds
is
everywhere.
Earth Mix Landscape we're
Earth
talking about,
Mix
Correct.
which just
Earth
happens
Mix
to be on
Landscape.
sale right now. for
30% off.
Wow.
Yes.
I
a nice year for
also
poppy.
have had success with poppy in an elevated bed. I guess you could call it a raised bed, but it's only just maybe 8 inches above, and that extra drainage and ability to dry out seems to have helped.
So what is the
especially with
difference between
California
an
poppy.
elevated bed and a raised bed? I'm just. Does it sound more sophisticated? Is
Yeah.
that
That's all.
I don't know. Well, okay, so here, so I'm
above ground
describing it
garden?
with
Yeah.
words. Let's just say this has rocks surrounding it that bring it up. So to me, it looks elevated. It doesn't look raised. When I think raised, I think I'm putting up fencing or paneling or a container that, but that's just my brain. It's all raised.
If you spell raised differently, it could be one that has been taken down.
Yes,
Right,
it could be
that's
flush
right.
with the ground.
So
Astute observation, David.
Very good.
And
Very
with
nice.
that,
hey, it's 9:00, y'all.
Hey, it is. It's time to get out.
That
and
went
get
by
busy.
really fast. Seems to always do that. Hey, welcome back, Austin.
Yes,
Glad to
welcome
have
back.
Thank you. Glad to be
Coach
back, everybody.
Come out and see us, folks.
Yep,
We're going to be
next-
here all day.
Yeah, next Saturday morning, we're going to come back and do this again.
Sure.
Okay. You good
That's
with
what
that?
we do.
That's what we're going to do. But hey, Earth Mix Landscape, 30% off.
Skip Laurels.
30% off.
right.
free
And-
veggies.
While
Free.
they last. 'cause-
Free.
Yeah, free.
Come get
Just
your
come
free
take
flat.
them.
One
Hey.
flat or two or maybe one. Two underground.
All of you guys that are enjoying the show, we appreciate you. We're going to be back next week. Come see us.
And by the way, thanks for officially having 30,000 subscribers on the In the Garden at Bates Nursery newsletter. I really appreciate all the kind remarks I've received this week. So thank you for that.
And hey,
Hey.
we hit 400 subscribers on YouTube. So
Hey,
thank you, YouTube.
Share the word.
Yeah.
Share the word.
That's right.
Coming to Twitter soon.
We're
too, folks.
exploding.
We're going to figure this out.
Y'all come out and give me some ideas for my bed.
Figs.